Okay. Green checkbox achieved.
Live on Mixer, live on YouTube.
Awesome. Got the notifications. Wow. It's great when everything just works appropriately. Isn't that right?
It just jinxed it.
Wow. I don't think so. I think it's working everywhere. So we shall begin. Welcome everyone to another episode of the 4GwQPodcast podcast. This is episode number 151 for October 12th, 2017. Tonight we have a very special guest, a woman in the community I absolutely adore. I love everything she's on. RDX Podcast. She's also on Speak Podcast. Ashen Luca, a.k.a. Luca, a.k.a. What did you say? You self-proclaimed on Twitter. I read this earlier in your bio, and I'm just like, I can't believe that she put this. She says, hold on a second. What does it say? A scumbag. That's the first words on this girl's Twitter bio. But absolutely love her. What's up, Luca? What's going on?
Intro.
Oh.
You're cutting in and out.
How am I cutting out?
Yeah, that's alright, Inferno. You did the robot tonight.
Did I robot?
You just the screen went.
Froze.
You froze.
You teleported.
Did you hear?
time.
Did you hear me though?
No.
You
Oh my
heard part of what you were saying, and then mid-sentence you just stopped.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, short intro then, Luca. What's going on?
Hey guys! I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. Not a lot of people know this, but I'm really good friends with all of you guys, especially Mike. We get along really well. We have long conversations, and I'm just so happy that you guys asked me to be on and ready to get into these topics, bro.
Absolutely. Excited to have you. Really, really excited to have you. Been wanting to get you on for a while, and we just haven't had room for a guest. But tonight we've got room for a guest, and we're glad you accepted. And I know it was short notice, but we really appreciate you making the time to podcast with us this evening.
Oh yeah, for sure. I raised home, so.
Nice. Glad you did. Now for the other guys that happen to be not on time, speaking of which, making his 151st straight appearance. It's
I was on time.
What's going on, bud?
Hello.
Well, I don't know. You had a little bit of a Skype update or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we were in the middle of calling. It's like, update. Oh, okay.
And last but not least, we have making his webcam appearance for the first time in a while with that gorgeous beard. It's Italian Clowns. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Well, it's a weird week in gaming. A lot of talk on the internet has been some arguments over things such as microtransactions. People really divided. Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War kind of reared their nasty microtransaction heads. So I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit. That's going to be the meat and potatoes of the podcast. We're also going to wrap up on the Battlefront 2 beta that just ended. Got extended, I think, a day or two, but it is now officially over. The game comes out next month. We'll talk a little bit about that to begin the podcast. We'll talk about Fortnite, which is dominating right now. Fortnite Battle Royale, which is essentially a PUBG ripoff, if you haven't played it, but it is a lot different than that. So we'll talk about the differences in that a little bit and talk about how that's so popular and already gotten 10 million players on Fortnite Battle Royale. I know it is free to play, but nonetheless, really, really cool game, and want to give it its fair share. And then we'll probably end the show with the Shadow of War talk because I haven't played it. I know Clowns has played a little bit of it. And a lot of people are down this game, but it's still getting pretty good reviews. So, everyone was kind of, if you're an Xbox gamer, you were waiting for this game to come out, and now it's finally out, and I don't see really a lot of talk about it. So, but reviews have been good. People have been shitting all over the microtransactions, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Before we get into anything, just want to thank the affiliates. Go down in our description on the YouTube channel below. You'll find some affiliate links. Do your shopping through there, and we'll get a little bit of a kickback. You don't have to buy what pops up. Just buy something on those sites when you do your normal shopping. We'll get a little bit of a referral bonus. So check those out. We also have a donate link finally down in our description below. So if you feel inclined to support us through a little bit of a donation, we'd appreciate that, of course. So thank you very much. All right, you guys can still hear me, right? I'm not roboting or anything.
No, you're
No,
good.
you're good, bro.
Excellent.
You're here.
Excellent. All right, so Assassin,
Yeah.
start us off on this one. Battlefront 2, the beta is now over. You've played the shit out of it. I don't know. They had a little bit of a contest going. If you were one of the biggest Battlefront 2 players, if you had the most time logged, you got a little bit of a prize. I don't think that was you that won it, but you could have been up for it, certainly. So...
Well, they didn't even list the players, so like I keep on checking back every few hours, be like, oh, did Xbox Rewards, update their site? Nope. Still says come back after the beta.
Wow.
And, it's been over for a day and a half, so.
Wow. Well, anyway, tell us about the game. I know we talked about it last week, but you've played a lot more of it since then. I know it came out like right before the podcast, essentially, last time. So, so please tell us now your final quick thoughts on the game, and is it still something you're looking forward to?
Is it something I'm looking forward to? Hell yes. I enjoyed every single second of, well, maybe not every single second of it, but, I enjoyed it from the beginning and to the end. Sometimes maybe I wanted to check my controller because, some things just don't work right. And teammates are being non-existent. So, yeah, PTFO. Just saying.
Wow.
Well, you know how it is. You play, you get to the objective and no one's there, and you're holding the ion cannon, and you're like, great, there's a droid there. But,
Well, that's the thing with Battlefront. Now it's like so objective based. I know, Battlefront 1 had objectives, so to speak, but it was really just like kill everything and get to the spot and kill the AT-AT walkers. And I know there were different modes and whatnot, but not a lot of people played those. And now the mode that comes with the beta this time is definitely heavily objective based. So, so yeah, continue. Sorry, Assassin.
The star card system, and we'll get to this later on, but I don't think there's an advantage whatsoever. I think I even ended with the beta with 300 scrap points, and I had no idea what to use them for, because everything I wanted was totally upgraded to a point where, I needed more scraps. The loot crates I've been earning not very quickly as like in Shadow War, but quite quickly. And overall, it's just a lot of fun.
Awesome. I echo a lot of those sentiments. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, we'll get into the loot crate stuff later, but the loot crate stuff aside, I think the game's excellent. Balancing issues, I tweeted out about some balancing issues that I had, but I definitely am looking forward to the game, and I pre-ordered it because of my experience with the beta. I think it's a lot better than the first one, and even with all the bunch of things that have been coming out this fall and that are coming out in the holiday, I think it's definitely going to do pretty well. Do I think it's going to do as well as the first one? Probably not. I think the first one, the numbers were a little bit inflated, but I think it's going to do pretty well nonetheless. Luca, did you play Battlefront 2 at all, the beta?
Listen. I turned that joint on for like 10 minutes, right? And then I turned it off because I'm not interested in that game.
No way.
I know this is
What?
I know this is blasphemous, but I don't care about Star Wars. Like, I've seen all the movies because my grandpa I'm about to get kicked off. I've seen all the movies because my grandpa is a huge fan, but I've never connected with it. Like, I'm like, I didn't play the first one. I didn't have any interest in that. I saw how everyone got screwed over, and I was like, ew. And I felt bad for them. But yeah, I don't have any interest in this. The only reason I even tried the beta was someone gave me like early access to the beta code, and this was after I was like, I don't care. He's like, no, please just try it. I'm like, okay, okay. So yeah, I'm not getting this game.
It is,
Wow.
Clowns, before you hate on her.
I'm not hating on it.
I mean,
I don't know why you
I'm
guys...
sorry, Assassin. I meant Assassin. I see you clowns kind of shaking your head over there a little bit. Not too bad. Not like Assassin. Assassin's literally over there like grasping his heart, like ready to pass out over this blasphemy that she's just spoken.
Yeah.
But
Well, it looks like he's been pulling his hair out of his head.
It does look like that a little bit. Yeah, of course.
It's home, so deal with it.
Now listen, Assassin. You got to admit that people are still going to have a sour taste in their mouth because of the first game, and that's going to turn some people off.
I don't know. The first game was pretty good, so.
Wow. You see,
I like the first one.
Yeah.
No, but
I mean, it had its issues, just like almost every game that seems to be launching these days.
I mean, the best part of the first one was the homing rockets, because Assassin couldn't get away from mine.
Well, you couldn't get away from homing rockets, period. You know, you sit behind a rock and it just goes whoop right over the rock.
I just jetpacked everywhere across the map to get away.
Oh, that's weak shit. Get out of here.
See, that's and see, there are just a multitude of things that people brought up about the first game. They were like, oh, you know, there wasn't a lot of content. There's not a lot of maps. There's not, you know, I mean, people are still thinking that in their minds from the first Battlefront when they think about Battlefront 2. I think that's a real, like, prejudice against the second game. And I think the second game is a lot more fun. Granted, it's a lot more Star Wars, so it's less of like a Battlefield skinned, you know, Star Wars skin.
I think the graphics are fantastic for Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Even though I don't like those, whatever they're called, Assassin, those metallic droids, I thought, like, you know, as you play them, you really feel kind of like a robot because you're jumping all over the place and you're very fluid and quick. So I thought that was kind of realistic there for that. And my favorite part about this game is I'm really excited about the loot crates.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, did you read the post I sent you guys?
Yes, I'm going to petition that they put special characters behind loot crates, so guys like Assassin.
Okay, no, get out of here. I thought Luca was being mean about Star Wars. Just get out of here.
Yeah, you know what? I'm with Mike. I think a lot of people are not going to pick up this game just because of the stigma of the first one. I mean, the first one, for some people, might have been a good game, but the bad press around it, for those who don't bother to look into it, they're like, nope, not getting it.
It's the same thing like with Titanfall 2. Remember the tech test? Like, everyone shat all over that. They didn't give it a chance. That campaign, I'll stand right by it. That campaign's like one of the top 3 FPS campaigns I've ever played. That multiplayer is a little sketchy in some spots, but listen, I mean, there are people that will argue to the death that that's one of the best FPS games ever made, and that game will not see the light of day as well as it should because of
Anchorman posted a message in Mixer towards you and Assassin, I think. It's a 4-letter word, Star Wars.
A 4-letter word, Star Wars?
Yeah,
I can't see the Mixer chat. This is ridiculous.
He said Dork Vader.
Wow. The hate. Well, listen, I think the game is pretty technically sound compared to the first one. I think that if you are a Star Wars fan, you're going to really, really enjoy it. And you shouldn't necessarily... I think the beta was a good thing and a bad thing, because the beta... for people who are kind of on the fence and kind of still scorned by the first game, got an opportunity to play it, and they were like, hey, well, this is pretty cool. But then, you know, came the loot crates and came all that controversy, and now everyone's opened their eyes to all of a sudden finding out that there are loot crates and microtransactions in video games. Like, people didn't know this, and all of a sudden people are waking up to the fact that this thing exists. But Star Wars does it a little differently, and I think it was today that it was finally... Was it today that it was kind of finally let out of the bag that these things are going to be for money? I think I saw...
No, well, everyone knew it was
$100.
Oh, wow.
I think I saw that somewhere online that these loot crates are going to go for $5 to $100. So the pay-to-win scheme seems to be live and well in this game, Assassin, or is it not?
No, it really isn't. I've said this a lot on Twitter. If you actually played the beta and looked at the star cards, a lot of the star cards, for instance, like when there was a grenade, like the blast radius would go up. You would think, oh, you know, it's pay to win. It'll go up, you know, it starts at 5, you know, for the radius, and, you know, it'll probably go up to 100. No, it goes up to 6 for the highest tier. Like, some of those ones, like, there's some that are OP, but the ones that are, like, kind of OP are very situational and last for, like, a few seconds. Like, for instance, Boba Fett's Rocket Barrage. Like, the highest tier is 100%. You take no damage while you're in the air, while using that. And that thing lasts, like, less than a second. Like, and then the lowest one's like 20%. Like, those are big differences, but most of the ones that you're gonna use don't, have, your gun is gonna do 2% at the lowest tier and 100% at the highest tier. It's nothing like that.
Right. And we have Daniel B in the YouTube chat saying, "Hi, it's pay to win. It's the whole progression system." And I think that's what people are hung up on, and that's why people are getting pissed off, is because they played the beta, they unlocked loot crates, they got unlocks for classes that they weren't even playing, and then all of a sudden they went to go try. Let's say they didn't play the officer class, or they never played the specialist, and then they went to go play that class. And they found out that they were a higher level than the class they had put in, 6 hours into. I mean, how do you explain that kind of thing?
Well, the thing with like the leveling thing, like if like past 10, like I got past 10 like almost on everything. Past 10, there was like emotes. There was the MVP cards. Like there's no reason to get past 10, and you can get past 10 very easily if you just put in some time. Like an hour or so, you get a loot crate, and I mean, there's a chance you might not get what you want, but you got scraps. You can build shit. And then there was a post today from the developers saying that not everything's tied to these loot boxes. There's progression for star cards, outfits, MVP stuff, taunts, etc., etc.
That isn't tied to loot crates, you're saying?
Yeah, that's tied to progression. There were some other things. If I can find it, I'll tell you guys. There's the link I sent.
Yeah, I think people in the chat and a lot of people on Twitter have the right opinion about whether or not it should be the sole reason why you level up. Like, loot crates for leveling up, I think, is nonsense, because you should get XP. It's called XP for a reason. Experience points. That is not experience. You know what I mean? Crates, like unlocking crates at random, is not experience. So XP is essentially worthless then. You know what I mean? That's why I think there's a huge stigma against it. But when you finally, dissect it with a fine-tooth comb like you're doing, Assassin, it's almost like the buffs that you get for buying these loot crates aren't as extreme as someone like Clowns would want, who wants there to be like, Boba Fett and Darth Maul and these guys like locked behind paywalls and shit like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Because see, you can't go halfway. It's got to be all or none, right? So these loot crates are kind of like halfway, and everybody at the halfway point is like, oh yeah, loot crates are fine. But the minute that you start putting special characters behind paywalls, and you make it rare drops, and you make it like in the $50 packs or the $25 packs, guys like Assassin would be hating on this game because he's not going to get the Darth Maul that he wants unless he drops the 25 or 50. But as long as he gets Darth Maul, he's okay with loot crates. If he don't get Darth Maul, he's not okay with loot crates. See, it's all or nothing.
All or nothing. All right. So two very opposite ends of the spectrum here from these two guys. Luca, do you have an opinion on this? Of course, you've seen the outrage on the internet about this kind of thing. So, thoughts on?
Honestly, I don't. Listen, there have been loot crates in games for years now, and I don't understand where the rage is coming from exactly. Like, there have been like blatant examples of this for years, okay? And I really feel like that, I don't know, when the media highlights something, everyone attaches to that and like latches onto that and says, "Oh, okay, so we're going to hate on this now." And I'm like, "Okay, but like this is not a new thing." Like, loot crates are not a new thing. And honestly, it's a bit confusing to me. Like, I really don't get where the sudden rage has come from, because pay to win, that's not okay, obviously, but it's just kind of like, where was this rage a year ago? I mean, I heard some rumblings here and there, like, oh, we don't like microtransactions, but no one got upset. No one got this pissed off, but I see everyone so angry. People who are like, well, I'm not going to get this game or this game or this game. Or if you buy this game, you're a fraud, you're a corporate slave, like that kind of nonsense, right? And I'm just like, because of loot crates? Like, I mean, okay. I mean, like, I really don't think people realize how crazy they look when they get really worked up about this stuff that's been happening for years. It's like people just woke up one day and were like, you know what? this is actually really bad. I'm like, no shit, it's actually really bad. Like, what have you been doing the past 5, 6, 7 years? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. You know what? I would be more like sympathetic to this if this was years ago and people were getting super pissed off and saying, why are they doing this? This is awful, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like, no, they've been doing this for years now. This sudden outcry of, like, this is not fair. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right. One thing you definitely mentioned that I'm seeing a lot on Twitter that's like borderline bullying, I think, like cyberbullying, is that people are just like calling anyone that buys these games corporate slaves. And it's like, well, you know, last time I checked, loot crates have been optional for years. Like, you talk about loot crates being in games for years. It's completely optional, like 100% optional. These loot crates you can buy with in-game currency. You can unlock with certain milestones that you play. You know, you get a daily crate every day, you know, just for like logging on and playing. So, you know, it's like you can't have one thing without the other. Like, if I buy Shadow of War, which we'll talk about in a second, if I buy Shadow of War, does that mean I automatically have to buy the loot crate, the microtransactions because I bought that? Or like Forza 7? Like, I bought the Ultimate Edition. Am I a corporate slave because I must buy the microtransactions? Absolutely not. Like, I just want to play the friggin' racing game. I want to play Battlefront 2. I love Star Wars. Like, I want to enjoy this game the way I want to enjoy it. Why can't I dictate the way I play games? Nowadays, you're right, Luca, like, everyone's outraged all of a sudden, and they're making people feel like you can't just play the game, you want to play it. Like, that's crazy.
You know what? I just don't understand why so many people, like grown men, are just so obsessed with what other men are doing on the internet. And I'm like, that's kind of suspect, kind of sketch, kind of creepy. Like, you don't need to be concerned with how someone else spends their hard-earned money. Like, you go to work, you work fucking 40 hours a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go home, you want to kick back, you want to turn your system on, you want to have fun. You don't want to go online and see someone say, if you do this, you're this, or this, or this, or you're going to take it, you know, just nonsense, right? It's like, why do you care so much? I don't get it. Like, why are people so concerned with how other people spend their money? Like, it doesn't affect you at all. And to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of like I've been really chill about all these situations because I don't spend my money unless I know what I'm getting into. Like, I've bought shaders before. I bought shaders for Injustice 2, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't spend any money on anything unless I'm like cool with spending the money. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna give a certain company all my money and then get pissed off when I get screwed over or it's not exactly what I expect. Yep. I'll just be like, okay, you know what? That sucks. But now I know better. But there's people who are like, oh, screw this company, screw this company, screw that company. They're awful. They've done this, this, and this to me. And then they'll go out and buy the game anyway. And then have the audacity to still complain. It's like, you put yourself in this position. Mm-hmm. So why are you complaining about it? You don't have to buy these games. If it gets to a point where it really affects you, where you're like, you know what, I can't support this system because of these loot crates or whatever, then just don't get the game. But don't go on Twitter acting holier than thou and get on your soapbox acting like everyone who wants to get this game is evil somehow, or they're sheep or slaves or anything like that. Because honestly, no one should be saying anything about anyone else because we all have we have baggage. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's people who've like screenshotted things that I've said. And if I step out of turn, someone's going to come to me and be like, excuse me, miss, but you said this 6 months ago. Because there are people who are, I do that. You know, sometimes I see some suspect stuff. I screenshot it. I'm like, you know, I'm going to save this for later just in case. And it's happened a couple times where someone has come at me sideways. And I'm like, wait, didn't you do this? Wait, but didn't you do this? And they're like, oh, shit. Okay, bye. You know, like, so just let it go. It's really not that big of a deal. If it bothers you to the point where it's like really affecting you and you're getting like upset, like emotionally upset over video games, perhaps you need to take a step back and reevaluate your life and what you're doing.
You know, Luca, you make some really good points. And, you know, I'm Italian, so I say crazy shit all the time on Twitter, and I say it to people's faces. I don't care, and I'm not gonna get mad at people for buying games with loot crates. Like, I think it's ridiculous to get upset over that. If they want to get the game and they want to have fun with it, let them have fun with it. They don't have to buy the loot crates. So I'm completely in the same ballpark as you. Like, it doesn't matter if there's loot crates or not. Who really cares? Nobody, you know. people shouldn't care how other people want to play the game. Like, I can't get mad at Assassin if he wants to buy $3,000 worth of loot crates. If he wants to do it, that's his money. But no, I'm just saying. I'm just making a point.
I know what you're saying, but
the only thing that I think is on the extreme point of this spectrum with loot crates is, I think when we have children that are smarter than the parents and they know how to obtain financial information or account information, I think that's a little bit where the drawing line might be. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, you know, it's partly responsible on the parents too, as much as the kids. But I think, like, companies and devs need to find a way to limit the abuse in that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What's Battlefront rated? Is it T?
Yeah, and Battlefront, and that's a good point you bring that up, because you know, this controversy has made such waves in the industry that even the ESRB had to respond recently. The ESRB, the rating board, for all that aren't familiar with that are in foreign countries. I know Europe, I think the UK has PEGI, and I don't know what all the European boards are, but in the US it's the ESRB, and they even spoke out and said loot crates are not gambling. We don't consider loot crates gambling, so you know, games that are rated T are going to stay T that have loot crates, and games that are rated E are going to stay E. We're not going to list loot crates as gambling. And so they're trying to downplay a lot of the controversy, and a lot of people do think it's gambling, and I don't think it's gambling, but I mean, there is an argument to be made, because it is RNG. It is paying money for, you know, either a very good payout or sometimes a shitty one. But nonetheless, why did you bring that up, Luca? Is that why you brought that up?
Yeah, I brought it up because of that, and also to say, just like, I'm sorry, but I get what you're saying, Clowns, but people, like, parents need to be more involved in what they're getting their kids. They can't just be like, oh, okay, I'll get this for little Timmy, it's fine. Oh, I'll give him my credit card information, it's fine, he'll only use it once. I'm like, no, be a parent, step up, and make sure your kids aren't spending all your money. Like, no. I really feel like it's more on the parents, because if they are really so delusional and out of touch that they're not paying attention to what their kids are spending their money on, especially if it's a young kid, like a young kid who's under the, like, age of when they're supposed to be playing this game, it's just kind of like, okay, well, like, you're dumb. But, like, you're dumb.
I understand that point, and I would say the same thing, except that my daughter, I have a daughter, she's 15 now, but when she was 8 years old, she jailbroke her iPhone by herself, wrote her own code for it. Like, I had no idea this is what she was doing to her iPod. Like, she jailbroke it by herself, and I monitored everything she did. Like, I restricted her on the router, I restricted her PC. She just knew what she was doing. And then one day she's in school, and she was complaining that she couldn't use the internet at school, right? And I told her, well, you're not supposed to be doing it anyway at school. Next day she comes home, she goes, yeah, I bypassed everything. I use proxies, VPNs. I'm like, where did you hear about this stuff? Dad, I know this stuff. I'm smart.
Okay, that's like an extreme case, bro. Like, your kid's really smart, so that's one thing. But for the most part, it's like, it's really just more on the parents. Like, there's certain situations like the one that you're in, but I really just feel like it's on the parents. They should be more mindful. They should want to strive to get educated about this stuff, because these games, they're not for kids anymore. They're not strictly just kiddie games anymore. Mm-hmm. And, like, I can even speak from experience. My mom bought my little brother, like, rated M for mature games. She bought him Saints Row the Third and, like, God of War and all that stuff. Like, she got those games for him, and I'm just over here scratching my head like, yo, he's like 6, but he's like 6 though.
Wow.
But okay. And it's just like, they're not looking at the back of these games and checking, you know? But they're just like, they're not putting in those extra steps to make sure that what they're getting for their kids is okay. And I just
wanted to say, so we brought that up, Luca. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good, bro.
Yeah, so that's one thing I want to say. When my daughter was, I don't remember how old, she ended up with, like, GTA on her iPhone and her iPod, and I did not even put it on there. She just got it on there and was playing by herself, and her iTunes account was restricted, and she still got it on there.
Wow. And that's the thing, like, and that's the thing with loot crates. Like, I don't know if loot crates are as popular amongst kids as, like, you know, playing games that they really shouldn't play, right? Like, you know, your 6-year-old brother, Luca, like, wanted to check out God of War and check out these M-rated games because, like, you know, they were, you know, high-profile games or, like, you know, games that he shouldn't be playing. You know, kids always want to, like, play the M-rated games because, you know, they probably shouldn't, right? But I don't know if kids are, like, sitting there being like, oh, my God, I wish I could buy all these Madden points, like salivating about something like that. I don't know if there's.
I mean, I know there's been cases of it where like you know parents have had to contact like these companies like, hey, my kid accidentally spent my kid spent $3,000 without letting me know that they were doing this. There's been cases of that, but like I said, it's kind of just like in most instances you need to like not give your kid. I wouldn't give my kid my credit card. Like, absolutely not. I would absolutely not do that, you know? And if your card is linked to these accounts, then I don't know. I just really feel like it's just personal responsibility, you know? And then I know there was that CSGO scandal where T Martin and the other dude, I don't remember their names. Their audience was pretty young and they were doing like gambling for the CSGO website or whatever. Right. So I know there's been like instances of that. So
okay, yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think it's as widespread, but I think it definitely happens. And then I just go back to personal responsibility of the parents.
Right. Lord Kabitsu of the Iron Lords podcast, excellent podcast, by the way. Please check it out. Says Xbox parental settings are pretty thorough, though. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, kids, like Clown's kind of alluded to, kids are finding ways to get by this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Kids are finding ways, and yeah, Luca has a point. Like, shaming the parents for not monitoring your kids properly, or like making sure that they don't like have these thoughts to try to bypass your parental settings or like scheme to get your credit card. Like, you know, as a kid, I would have never thought to do that. That's kind of ridiculous. But, you know, there are kids out there these days that do those kinds of things. And it's just like, you know, I feel like sometimes no height of parental setting can prevent your kid from, you know, potentially scheming to get around that in some way. Like, you know, if you want to bypass it one time for your kid and then your kid finds a way or knows a way to like save that bypass, then you're screwed, you know, no matter how thorough it is. So, it's a good point, but like, I feel like if kids these days, like Clown's daughter, like kids are getting smarter because tech is getting better and kids are interested in tech and kids are getting interested in coding and introduced to coding and all this crazy stuff. So if kids want to do it, they're going to find a way to do it, which is crazy, but it's true. What else in the YouTube chat? I know Supersonic Station is in the YouTube chat, and he's bitching about the Battlefront thing and saying that, you know, that they should have better taste than to do this in a Star Wars game. And I'm with you, man. I don't like pay to win. I don't think anyone here necessarily, maybe with the exception of Clowns, likes pay to win. But like, it's not necessarily pay to win. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing you got to realize with Battlefront. Once you And Assassin's done it. Like, Assassin could sit there and tell you about this for hours, and we just don't have that time right now. But he could tell you why buying loot crates for the buffs that you get in Battlefront is just not worth it.
Oh, like, yeah, and I found the link I was talking about earlier, and like I've said this probably before, but like they even stated many things you can get in game or from weapons, attachments, star cards, motes, everything by leveling up. You know, there's a leveling system that's not tied to the star cards here. Same thing, you know, you need to be a certain level to upgrade the star cards. Like, and they even said they want to balance it out for people who play 2 minutes a day and people who play 24 hours a day.
They need to be. I think the way that they need to respond with this Battlefront thing is that they need to be extremely transparent on the stuff that you're talking about and the stuff that you've told me before in Party Chat, because people just don't know that. People are just seeing this and they're seeing people write articles and do YouTube videos about how progression is just linked to loot crates, and they're just like, this is how it is. We have a narrow view right down the middle. We're not seeing the whole scope of it. And like in Call of Duty, right? Like, you can have a guy that's like 10th prestige, max experience, all the unlocks, all the attachments for all the guns, and he may suck.
Yeah,
right?
a level 1-0 prestige could kick his ass any day of the week, you know?
Right, and that's why it's not necessarily pay to win. Like, it's more so pay to win, I think, in Forza, because, you know, if you have, you know, a nice car with nice tune and, you know, the level 800 A-class car is not the same as another 800 or S1 car. It's not the same. Like, they're not made the exact same. So if you have, you know, a bigger garage collection because you've paid for those unlocks, then that's more so pay to win than Battlefront. But everyone's going nuts about Battlefront. It's just nuts. It's just crazy.
No.
You know, I got to say this though, like Luca said, these things have been around forever. It's not new. It's not a new invention. It's not like, hey, we're gonna screw everybody over. No, this has been around forever. It's been an extra added income or revenue. I mean, were people complaining when Farmville did this on Facebook to pay, you know, to decrease time, or Candy Crush or Cookie Jam? No, you don't hear people complain about that. People spend tons of money in those mobile games and those browser app games, and all of a sudden it's a big deal because the game's on a console.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, iPad games have been doing this for ages, and people have been happily supporting it. The difference between that, though, is because people are saying, you know, oh, this is a $60 title and there's pay-to-win microtransactions. Like, people are upset because they think, oh, you know, and people have been saying this in the YouTube chat, so shout out to you guys for making this observation and having this opinion, because it is a valid opinion that these people are making enough money as it is. Why do they need microtransactions that are, you know, that further your progression for, you know, when you're already making enough money? But the answer to that is that it's never enough money.
Yeah, they're a business. They want money.
Yeah.
If they take away these loot crates, I mean, look at GTA. They made billions. They took those away. What do they have? They don't have billions anymore.
That $60 argument is kind of mute, though, in a sense, because those free-to-play games that Zynga made, you know, way back when, people would go out and buy $100 Zynga cards and blow it like the next day on those.
Right, and then that's like a $60 game plus 40. So it's already right. People are just not used to this in the console space, and now that it's happening, like you mentioned, like, people are just ready to get their pitchforks out and go to town. But Supersonic Station makes a good point. I want to get everyone's opinion on this. He says, how far are we going to let them push us until gamers draw a line in the sand? It's only going to get worse if people don't complain. And microtransactions and loot crates have been making, you know, have been very prevalent recently. I must say that, you know, obviously we'll get into Shadow War in a minute, but that's a single player game that's, you know, almost entirely single player that has loot crates. And you don't usually see that in entirely single player games that have nothing to do with interacting, or very little to do with interacting with, you know, other gamers and such. So, Luca, let me ask you, do you think it's going to get worse if people don't complain? And do you think people should complain to get rid of this? Or do you think, you know, gamers should just ignore it and play games the way they want to?
Honestly, you know, I think Super Bro, he makes a great point, but it's kind of like, what are we going to do about it? Because we are the hardcore, and the majority doesn't pay attention to this kind of stuff. Like, the reason these loot crates work is because the majority, the casuals, they're the ones who are buying these, you know? So just because we get worked up and we boycott it, it's like, what, 2,000 of us, like, hardcore players, over 10,000? Like, what? Okay, like, they're gonna lose a couple bucks here and there, but they still are making bank. So until it's the casuals who have a problem with it, there's nothing we can really do. Now, like I said before, if you personally have an issue with it and just don't want to buy it, then don't buy it. That's fine. It's your money. But let's not pretend like we're actually going to make a difference because we're not buying. Like, us, you know, as the hardcore are going to make a difference. Now, yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts about it. Until we, all of us gamers come together and just say, yeah, we're not doing this, then yeah, of course, you know, we'll make a difference then. But the people, like, I've even seen some of the hardcore people who really just don't give a fuck. So it's kind of just like, you know, it's like, you know, put your foot down, stand for something if you want to, but sorry to say this, but you're really not making that much of a difference.
Right, and you're gonna let your crusade get in the way of you enjoying potentially, you know, the game of the year. Like, you know, obviously Shadow War not getting the same reviews as its predecessor, Shadow of Mordor. But yeah, I mean, Shadow of Mordor was, you know, up for game of the year. You know, in my opinion, probably should have won it. I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition, excellent game, very deep game. But
that game was lit. I played it 3 times. Just saying.
Inquisition or Shadow of Mordor?
Inquisition.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it does have its fans. I thought Shadow of Mordor was excellent. I was like, hoping Shadow of War would be that and more. It seems like it's not, but nonetheless, like, people expected it to be, and they, you know, didn't buy it out of principle because it had these things. Like, you're limiting yourself for a crusade that, I'm sorry, like Luca just said, you're not gonna win.
Well, there's one thing. I mean, it takes a little bit of out-of-box thinking, but since the ESRB won't do anything about it, since we have we live in a capitalistic society, there are lobbyists everywhere, so the ESRB, of course, is probably going to side with the gaming industry because it's a huge business. So the only way to really complain is probably get to your state attorney general, and where they regulate like lottery and gambling, and have the states do it individually, because they could do it outside of the federal government, but it will take a lot of complaints to get a politician in your state to want to regulate this, and then they can impose a state tax on the gambling. So if all the states got together and they all imposed separate taxes, these companies might work out a different method than just slamming loot crates down every single game.
Yeah, but do you think that the government is actually going to do anything about it in terms of gambling if the ratings board that the government essentially made the gaming industry create doesn't even agree that it's gambling? You know what I mean? Like, the government...
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
The federal government's not the end-all, say-all. I mean, states still have their own individual rights, and certain politicians in certain states like to always enact their own state rights over their federal, overseers, whatever you want to call them. So yes, I do think that certain politicians and certain that have the ability to gain political, political influence through the media, might make a big deal out of it in their state just to get the name out there.
Yeah, but the thing of it is like, we don't want these governments like getting involved in our gaming, because they'll take one step and then they'll go too far. You already hear all the time from the news outlets saying that video games make kids violent and shoot up schools and ridiculous stuff like that. So also, none of these gamers are going to do that. They're just going to go on the internet and complain about how awful this is, but not actually want to do anything substantial.
Right. And then they're going to get the game. And then they're going to get the game and enjoy it. So
exactly.
Sasson, what did you want to say, bud? You try to get in on this?
Well, I'm just saying, what if, let's just say we won, or not we, the people who hate these things win. I mean, it's just going to make it worse. I mean, the loot boxes go away. They're going to have to want to, gain money some way, shape, or form, after that, which, well, then what are they going to do? Put skins where you spend $5 on something, which then just hurts people, because, people that don't, pay could get stuff maybe, in loot crates, you don't have to pay and you get it, but now you have to spend like $5 on, Emperor Palpatine's robes or something, something stupid.
Well, Assassin, one thing I want to clear up, though, is that, a lot of people are under the impression that loot crates make up for some of the development costs of the games. Yeah, game cost developments are rising, but according to tweets from Matt Pescatella from the MPD group, the loot crates are not the reason why they're there. It's not because the dev costs are rising. That's not why loot crates are there. Loot crates have been there long before dev costs have started rising. So I just want to make that clear.
Right. It's like and people will, and because of tweets like that from somebody as connected as him, people will now label this as like corporate greed. But like
essentially, essentially that's what it is. It is greed. It's companies want a steady revenue stream, and gaming is a huge business. It's going to keep growing. It's not going away. And yes, loot crates are addictive, just like gambling is addictive. People can get addicted to anything. So yes, it is addictive. People will spend money, but you have to, limit yourself and choose how you want to play the game.
All right, go ahead, Assassin. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bud.
If anything, if loot crates go away, games should take a route of Rainbow Six Siege, where the prices, you get in-game currency, they might be ridiculously high, but you can still, buy them if you want, or you can still earn them in-game. It just takes longer.
Yeah, and that's like how it is in Battlefront, man. Like, that's why people need to just like broaden their horizons, open their eyes a little bit wider, and not just look and focus on the fact that you can progress in rank. Is rank really that valuable to people that they're willing to drop that kind of money just to have a higher number next to the name in game? Like, give me a break.
Well, sometimes if they're tied to achievement, I know there was like one in Battlefront 1, we had to reach the highest level.
Okay.
And get an achievement, so some, achievement whores really want that.
Okay, so one achievement for 100 gamer score, you're going to drop like...
Well, yeah, there's some crazy people out there. I'm saying you and me, it's not worth, dropping like $1,000 to get to a level 100. But then again, player rank isn't tied to the microtransaction. Your class rank is.
Fastback 247 in the YouTube chat says, you guys think the next Battlefield will have loot crates if Star Wars Battlefront 2 sales are high and the loot crates are high in that? Yeah. I mean, don't they already have loot crates?
Yeah. They've had it, I think,
since Battlefield 4, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, this just proves the point. This just proves the point we're trying to hammer home that Luca brought up at first, but we've been talking about it for the past 25 minutes, is that loot crates have been around, people. Like... This has been a thing, and it's awesome that you brought that up in the chat. Thanks, Fastback, because it's just that people are so narrow-minded right now, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, that's how the media is guiding you. That's how people. I put here on the slide, like, are microtransactions hard to ignore when they're present? Like, they are kind of hard to ignore, man. They are. Like, if they're there, it's really hard to just like steer your way away from them and stop thinking about them. Do you have to do that in order to enjoy your games? If you don't like microtransactions, yes, that is what you need to do. But it's just it's a difficult road for a lot of people, and like gambling, some people want to take a chance, and I'll admit I have bought Madden Ultimate Team packs. I've spent my money on that.
When did you buy that?
In 27 for Madden 17, so probably like early or later of last year, like end of 2016.
And that's the point I want to make, because this shit was around last year.
Yep.
So it's like, come on, people. You can't just be blind to it until some media outlet points it out. Like, if you want to get upset about this stuff, get upset about it when it's happening, not years later.
Right, and how many people are out there like bitching about the shark cars in GTA? Yet those have been the golden. Those have been like the plaque on the wall for microtransactions, and no one's online saying I'm not gonna play GTA online, or I'm not gonna play GTA the game. Like, I'm not gonna play GTA 5 when GTA 6 comes out. I'm not playing that because there's shark cards. Like, no one says that, man.
Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely have something like that.
And I'm not playing it because it has
shark
cards. Because it has
it's like
horse cards.
Worst game of the century.
It's crazy. Like, it's just really crazy to me that people are depriving themselves of a good game just because of this. I don't know, but I do want to put a disclaimer. Most of the games I play are single player games, so I can like these loot crates and microtransactions. I can ignore these because it typically doesn't directly affect the single player campaign for most games. I mean, like, I'm looking at Dead Space 3, side-eyeing them, but also EA. I'm just saying. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, it's like,
Right. But I think that's the fear of people now that they see that Shadow of War is kind of like got the ball rolling for single player games to have them kind of infiltrate the single player space. Like, people are worried that stuff's kind of gonna creep in and affect how they play their game, but how does it affect how you play your game unless you're buying them? Like, who cares if Clowns goes out and buys all the loot packs he wants in Shadow of War, drops $500 and gets like this incredible army ready to go, and he beats the game, a couple hours faster than you because he just dropped $500. Who the hell cares, man?
Well, I can tell you in $15, I have all the awesome gear I could want. I have like the best army already ready to go. I mean, it's loaded, man. We're ready for war.
See,
Yeah,
so
or you could just play the game. I've been playing for a little while, and I could have opened about 10 of them if I wanted to, but I didn't spend my money on something else. Like, I don't need to spend money on these crates, in-game currency money. And
then,
been enjoying
sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say, I won the game. I won Shadow of War from Black Tiger. Shout out to you, bro. I won that game. Thank you.
Congrats.
So I can just I could drop $60 on microtransactions and just because I didn't buy the game initially, so it's not like I'm dropping 120,
Right.
But I mean, I'm not going to do that, but I could.
Right.
Because it's my money. I can do whatever I want with my money.
Right.
Like, just let it go, guys. Let it go. Stop being concerned with how other people are spending their money on the internet. Go play your games and mind your business.
Right. If you just stay in your lane on Shadow of War and you play it the way you want to play it, you literally have no reason or need to buy microtransactions. But, there are people out there like clowns that want to buy them and get their army ready right away and play the game. They want to play the game. Like, how the hell is that different from, like, Game Genie or Action Replay from back in the day? Like, if you popped your game in a Game Genie and you use cheat codes to have God mode or clip through walls or, have 99 lives or what have you, and somebody says they beat the game, like, how is this any different from that? No one was saying, oh, Game Genie should not exist because Johnny is going to beat it faster than me. No one said that. Now, all of a sudden, people are saying that. It's just ridiculous.
It was just cool back then because you didn't have to pay to, like, cheat the game. Now you got to pay to get in-game cheats.
No, you had to pay to get Game Genie?
Well, yeah, for the Game Genie, you had to pay for the actual, it's for the hardware. But, I mean, you could make up your own codes if you knew what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that was there. And AOL was, like, in its infancy, and you could look online.
Yep, that's true. This is true. Lord Kabatsu, another awesome comment in the chat, says, in the PC review of Shadow of Mordor, it says you can shut off microtransactions. So there you go. I didn't know that you can actually.
So nice.
That you can actually.
Console.
Oh wait, can you not do that in console? Or?
I haven't seen anything, but they're like, if you hit start, like in the menu, like, I'm one of those people. If you see a tick next to this letter or whatever saying that something's new there, like there's always something tick there, and then at the bottom of the screen it's like, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, so you can buy this. I'm like, go away.
Mm-hmm.
But sorry to interrupt.
No, that was not an interruption at all. We're going to transition right into that because I was going to get to Fortnite next, but there's been a lot of talk about Shadow of War, and you all three, you guys have it, and I do not. But I want to get your thoughts on the game. I mean, Metascore-wise, I have the 3 Metascores here. Take what... whether or not you think Metacritic is the be-all and end-all, or whether or not you think it's valuable, I'm sorry, I do find it somewhat valuable. So I think these scores are a reasonable, representation of how it's being received. And it looks like the average Metacritic score is somewhere around like 82, 83. So good game. Good low 80s. Obviously good game. Not as I don't think it did as well as Shadow of Mordor, if I remember. I think that game was like close to 90 on Meta. Let me see. But whoever wants to get us started on this game, what do you guys think? Is it good?
I want to say that I was very negative about the game. So I'll start. I was very negative about the game, right? I mean, everybody saw my rants on Twitter about how I thought it was very slow to pick up. So my initial impressions is, it's kind of like slow for me to pick up. I didn't really get the story at first. But coming to Act 2, maybe like 4 hours later, I'm actually starting to like the game a little bit. I liked it so much that I got the edition with, the gold edition. So, just don't say that loudly, everybody. The biggest thing that was disappointing is when I bought some loot crates in the game, they didn't show up right away. It took like 4 restarts of the game and a few hours later for it to actually show up. So the marketplace is kind of like buggy. That should be fixed. But yeah, man, I think the game it's a slow, steady game, and it's got its moments. The Nemesis system is great. So I'll always support the Nemesis system, regardless if the story sucks.
Yeah, and it sounds like from the reviews that I've checked out that the Nemesis system luckily has not gotten worse since the last game. If anything, it's gotten better. A lot of people are saying it's very much the same. It feels very much the same as the last game, even though there have been improvements here and there and some added complexities. At least it hasn't gotten worse, so that's a good thing. But anyway, back to people who've actually played the game. Luca or Assassin, thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Luca.
Well, I just got it yesterday, so I haven't turned it on yet.
Ah, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. That giveaway was yesterday. Jesus, that seems like it was so long ago. Probably because I entered it wanting to win, and I was like anticipating it for so long to see who's going to win that giveaway, and then it's like Luca, and I was like, God damn it. Of course she had to win.
Yeah. So I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, okay. But you did want the game, or you kind of entered it like, half-heartedly wanted to play it, or what did you...
Well, okay, I'm kind of scared to say like what I actually wanted to do because I don't want you coming at me since you really wanted this game, Inferno. But it's just kind of like I did enter it half-heartedly. I was like, I might as well try. This another hit on me. I don't care about Lord of the Rings either, but I've seen all the movies. So
just go, just leave. You're banned. Just
Luca,
go.
I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings either. I fell asleep during the movie. I thought it kind of was like crappy, but the game, the Nemesis system is kind of cool, so you might like that portion of it. But it does take the Act 2 to actually start liking it a little bit if you're not into Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I like story-based games, so we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, and if you're a fan at all of like Assassin's Creed games, like you'll feel
Huge fan.
Wait, did you play Shadow of Mordor when that was out in 2014?
No, I didn't.
See, man, wasn't that like Games with Gold recently or?
No.
Oh, I have the game.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that game was absolutely phenomenal. And I hate Lord of the Rings. Like, I went to go see The Hobbit and wanted to like gouge my eyes out. Like, I hate Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I love these games. I just can't get enough of them. I think Assassin's Creed, like, if it weren't for the fact that it played so much like Assassin's Creed and I was so familiar with the gameplay style, I would probably hate it. But it just feels so familiar right from the get-go, and it's easy to kind of, like, get into the gameplay and then, like, follow the story as kind of a secondhand kind of thing. But the story's good, though. I mean, I don't know about Shadow of War, but the story in the first game was really good.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about the first one, so...
Absolutely. Yeah, Assassin, you've played a little bit of Shadow War. I know you really wanted this game, and you were kind of like begging Clowns to get it because you guys game share. But
no, I wasn't begging.
I think you were.
No, I said just buy it. They're like, what was it? South Park. That's gonna be boring, or Shadow War? Shadow War.
I said Shadow of Shits or South Park. That's what I said.
Oh, I didn't see that part. I just said Shadow War.
And you were like, please, Shadow Shits, please. I saw that GM.
Please, Shadow Shits.
Yeah,
please give me Shadow Shits.
Well, okay. Is it Shadow of Shits or is it
Shadow
Gold and
what?
Piss?
Oh my god.
I don't know. What is it?
It's Shadow War first off, and it's good. I like it. There's some instances when you're Talon Brimbor or whatever his name is in the trials, and the screen's kind of fuzzy and blurry. I really don't like that too much. But overall, like there's a bunch of skills. The new rune type thing where you can get new weapons and clothes and helmets. That's a nice addition. And overall, I mean, it's a lot of the same, but a lot of, it's good with new additions. So.
Now, do you feel like, like the trailers, the gameplay footage that we saw, Microsoft obviously present because they have the marketing rights and they're the marketing partner and all of this. The videos that they've kind of showed off kind of present you as way more powerful in the first game. And that would kind of make sense because it is, a sequel and whatnot. But do you feel that right out of the get-go you are strong, or do you still need to kind of build yourself up?
Yo, that's definitely a spoiler. That's definitely a spoiler. Because I've seen like the beginning. I watched the beginning of the game. I watched the Brad play the beginning of the game, and you could just,
Wait, that's not a spoiler. How's that a spoiler?
It's definitely a spoiler. It's definitely a spoiler.
I have the solution. Buy loot crates.
No. You don't really need to buy loot crates. You earn in-game currency quite fast, actually.
Wait, hold on a second. Before we get off of this spoiler thing, I try to be as unspecific as possible, knowing that somebody would probably say spoiler. I didn't expect it to be Luca, goddammit. All right?
It's definitely a spoiler.
Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, then. I'm so sorry.
Compared to the end of Shadow of Mordor and the beginning of Shadow of War, you're definitely weaker.
Well, that's good. Well, that's kind of something I didn't like. If you think about like Saints Row 4, games like that, where it's just like you're ungodly strong right from the get go. It's kind of like
spoiler.
Wow,
damn it.
Inferno.
No, everyone knows that
Shame
about Saints Row 4.
you.
It's right from the beginning. That's not a spoiler.
It's definitely a spoiler.
You guys are
definitely.
Okay, I'm gonna just shut up now.
I'm just kidding.
Officially.
Nice.
No, but I can't spoil it anymore. I have to just shut up and just say I'm looking forward to the game because I wanted to win that giveaway. And there's just so much to play right now and just so little time that I just couldn't see myself buying this right at launch. Like, I definitely will buy this in the coming weeks. It's just, it's just so much other stuff to play. And I feel I haven't even touched Destiny. Like, I feel dirty right now not touching Destiny after buying the $80 version. And
You haven't played Destiny yet?
no.
Bruh, I have 5 days in that game so far. So far.
I know. I've seen your tweets and you just like progressed so far. And I'm just like, a lot of people are just like tweeting about how they're crazy far in the game and 305 light level or power or whatever you want to call it now. And everyone's just like, oh, I just have to wait now because I've done everything. And I'm just like, bro, I've done nothing. Like, I feel dirty.
Well, hop on that Destiny 2 bandwagon.
I stopped. Inferno, don't feel bad. Like, Assassin got way ahead of me, and he's got groups that he does the Nightfall with, and I was just like, you know what?
To do the Nightfall. I haven't done the Nightfall.
See you later, Destiny. It'll be a while before I pick you back up again.
See, when Destiny came out, I was away for work. I was actually shipped out of state, and I couldn't really game. And then I was like, oh, really? Like, thanks a lot, work, for shipping me out of state when, one of the biggest games of the year comes out. And I pre-ordered it, and I had to preload it, and I had the whole bit, and then I had to spend some time away from my dear Xbox here. But yeah, I gotta get into that because I'm missing out big time.
Oh man, let me know if you want to go through it. I still have to play with my hunter.
Absolutely, will do. That's the thing I kind of feared most about not playing it right away. Obviously, in a game like that, it was just like, okay, well, I just got sent away for work, and I'm going to be back in 2 weeks, but shit, everyone's going to be, like, max level by the time I get back, so no one's going to want to, like, walk through Mission 1 with me over there, like...
Oh, well, as long as if you don't mind a 298 Hunter.
No, I mind that, no, because...
Well, at least Assassin is offering you his services. I mean, when he got so far ahead of me, he's like, clowns, you could do it by yourself.
Yeah, hurry up, clowns. We need to do this now.
I leave the house for like, 2 or 4 hours, right? I mean, Assassin were close in level, and next thing I come back like 2 or 4 hours later, him and Firemonk are like way ahead, and he's like, yeah, clowns, you're gonna have to catch up to us, man. I can't do it again.
See,
at the same time we're progressing, so he has to catch up even more.
Right, you're like playing the game as you're telling him that he can't do it until he catches up, yet you're already getting so far ahead of him.
And I started a new character and I just passed clowns like instantly again.
I gotta be honest though, I'm probably gonna take a break from Destiny once Wolfenstein comes out.
Hell yeah.
Cause I'm gonna be all on that game. I am so excited for that. Like,
oh my god. See, that's another reason I can't buy Shadow War right now. Like, there's just so much good stuff coming out.
It's like,
Wolfenstein's gonna be lit, dude.
Oh my god, it looks so good at E3. It looks so good. I didn't expect it to look that good because I don't mean graphically either, like gameplay, the whole package, because it's like, all right, we've seen the same formula, we've seen, New Order, Old Blood, like kind of played very similarly, different settings, different guns, different kind of story. But then I saw this game and I'm just like, oh my god, they took it to another level, and I'm gonna have to get this at launch, aren't I?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, that's the first game I'm gonna boot up on my X. Ooh, I'm so hyped, dude. That and Assassin's Creed. I'm definitely getting this Assassin's Creed. I've taken a break. I didn't play Unity or Syndicate. I played some of 3, fell asleep.
Good. You missed some crappy
Syndicate was great. You gotta
go back. First of all, sir, after the disaster that was Unity, which I skipped, I was like, eh. And then I saw, like, Syndicate just didn't interest me at all. But this Assassin's Creed definitely interests me. My favorite Assassin's Creed were 2 and Brotherhood. So, I'm looking forward.
So good.
Yes, so good, right? So I'm looking forward to, like, coming back because I've taken like a 3-year break, pretty much 3-4 year break, because I played some Assassin's Creed 4, but I didn't like it because of the sailing. So
Wow,
Yeah.
that was the best part of the entire game.
it was tough to get around. It was it got long in the tooth.
Tough.
Yeah, no,
Had to
and
get good.
I don't mean tough as in like difficult, as in like I couldn't do it and I kept dying. Tough as in like, oh man, this is taking a little bit too long.
Inconvenience.
Right?
Like, you didn't like the following, the people holding the crate like 90% of the game.
Wow.
Because that was like 90% of the game.
Well,
So
Well,
saying.
Luke-
Oh,
Luca,
go ahead,
I
Klaus.
do. If you can get some to get really cheap, like if it goes down to like $5 or something, I recommend picking it up and trying it out. It was pretty good.
Very
all right, sounds
repetitive.
good. Yeah, I heard some good things about it, but it's just kind of like, every year, every other year now, I see like I check to see what's gonna go on with Assassin's Creed, and I'm just kind of like, because I was a huge fan of the series, and then honestly. And this was back when I was a casual, like the whole yearly releases. I was like, I just played this game, but okay. Like, okay.
Right.
I just thought it was a bit odd how fast they were coming out with the games, And I felt like the story definitely suffered because of that.
Yeah. It's great that single player games are kind of going back to not coming out every year. Like it builds up the anticipation. It lets them, make a better game. Like I think if Wolfenstein came out like, more frequently than it is, or I think if Assassin's Creed just kept going the same route, like people would not be anticipating this game as much as they are. These two games, like, and Assassin's Creed is completely different than the last Assassin's Creed. Like, I can't emphasize enough to you how different it felt when I played that game. Like, it was refreshing to me. Like, I like the more arcadey, more upbeat attacking, more upbeat movements, more less stealth aspect. Like, I like that stuff. But for some people, might not like it. But they did improve on so much other stuff. Like, the combat, I think, is so much improved. I think it's so much more fluent, continuous, not as, like, janky as prior Assassin's Creed. Like, I think it just works so well now. And I don't think they would have achieved that. Like, not only did they work on the story a little bit more, but they also worked on the mechanics. And I think that's kind of something that they need to do. They need to put some more love into these games.
Exactly. And I really like what they're doing with the season pass. They're telling us what we're going to get. And I like that. Because normally, I don't get season passes. The last season pass I got was Fallout 4 season pass. And it was a great deal for $30. But for $50, complete ripoff.
Right.
So,
right.
Like I typically I don't get season passes because I'm like, I don't know what's going to come out. But like reading the DLC plans they have, I'm just like, whoa, that story sounds awesome. Like, I'm down. I'll definitely get the gold edition. Take my money. Screw me over again, Ubisoft. No big deal.
There you go. Well, at least at least they have the decency to just like tell you what you're going to be getting instead of leaving you out in the dust. Like, they could. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, season passes are getting so unpopular now because of what you just said, especially with Fallout. I mean, there are games that have been. It's another game that I can't think of right now that is really notorious for having a terrible, terrible season pass. But like, people are getting these thoughts in their head, and they're like, "Why would I buy this if they screwed me with Fallout 4? They screwed me with whatever other game." Like, now that you're seeing everything that's included, like, people want to buy things that they know what they're getting. Like, that's why stores like Best Buy still exist with Amazon around, is that people still like to like feel what they're getting. They don't necessarily want to be unsure. And I think you're right. I think what they're doing with the Assassin's Creed season pass is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last topic of the evening is kind of changing a little bit of the pace here. It's Fortnite Battle Royale. And now this game we talked about a little bit last week when we were talking about PUBG, and this game has reached 10 million plus players, and I'm gonna have this little infographic scrolling, and I'm sorry it does scroll a little bit faster than I anticipated, but hopefully you can catch those numbers. It'll be scrolling the entire time, so hopefully at one point or another you're able to read this if you're watching the video version. But 10 million plus players for a free to play, essentially I don't want to say rip off because that has a negative connotation, and there is a lot more stuff you can do in this one than you can do in PUBG. Like, there's a lot of strategy involved with building your own bases and building traps and all this other stuff that you can do in this that you can't do in PUBG. So there is a lot more strategy involved with creating your own setting, your own atmosphere. Like, you can't. Sometimes you will survive based on the fact that you built a nice fort that you can hide in versus the fact that you're actually good at Battle Royale games, if that makes sense. So this game is a little bit different than PUBG, and I'm actually really enjoying it. And I wanted to get what you guys thought because it is free to play, so I'm guessing you guys have either played it or you guys know a good amount about it. And, I know Fortnite got a little bit of negative press because of the whole, pay to play the beta of our actual full version that's coming out free to play in 2018. But this is free to play right now, and I don't think they're going to charge for this in the future, but I could be wrong. But what do you guys think? I mean, is this just another Battle Royale game, or is this something that's going to stay and stick around for us?
Well, all right. I was just gonna say no. First off, Inferno. I know a lot of people say that they feel like it's a PUBG ripoff or a PUBG clone or whatnot. But after talking to Rand on Crossfire Podcast, I felt like that it's really not, because the rumor is that Epic built the engine for PUBG for the 100 players. So I really feel like that this is really Epic's child, and even if PUBG licensed it or bought the code for the 100 players or whatnot, it's still Epic's as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And Battle Royale games have been around forever, but this is different, and it's great. It's fun. It's cartoonish. You can mess around. You could joke around, and it's not so serious like PUBG. And I think that's what gives this thing its creative edge, and it's gonna keep it going as well. So it's just fun to play with friends, goof off, shoot things, die, watch your friends play, and the matches don't even last that long,
Yeah.
And it's not as serious as PUBG either. Like PUBG, you get more serious players that get really pissed if they lose. It's pride about getting first place, and this is more like, wow, we made first place, or no, we sucked today. It's just fun.
Yeah, and the theme of your comments, I think, is absolutely true, is that it's not as serious as PUBG. It's something you can get into, and if you suck, then, I mean, the matches are quick. You just get back into it. You don't feel like you have to be like as super competitive as these people on Twitch or Mixer or YouTube that are streaming this. Obviously the goal is to get number one, but if you don't, I mean, you still have fun. Whereas in PUBG, it's like, oh man, I placed 11th. Like, shit, I need to get better. Like, in this game, it's kind of like you're enjoying it whether or not, like, you get knocked out in a minute or you get knocked out in like 10 minutes. I think there's just a lot of casual Battle Royale gameplay to be had here to kind of like, get you experience. If you do want to delve into PUBG when that eventually does come to Xbox, you will have Battle Royale strategy experience, and you'll be doing so in a game that's not, quite as competitive and harsh, So yeah, I definitely agree with that, Clowns. Assassin or Luca, any thoughts on this game, Battle Royale, Fortnite?
I played it once. I was in the alpha preview. It lagged a lot. The frame rate was like 2. Couldn't talk to anyone because party chat was utter crap. And then I got out of the alpha, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 was in my hands at the time, so I haven't gone back.
Gotcha. So you are. So just to wrap up, you are interested, but Microsoft shot the bed on their dashboard. So
pretty much, I think it's fixed, but
Got
now Shadow War and Forza's in my life. So who needs free to play games?
Well, no, I mean. This is the thing. Like, this game is for free to play. Like, to just get in, get out. Play for a half hour, get in a few matches. This is a cool game, dude. I wouldn't. Every once in a while you get. I coined the term, and I will claim ownership, rightfully so. You do get gaming sad every once in a while, and you have a plethora of games you can play, but you just get gaming sad, and you're like, what am I gonna play, man? I'm just sad. I can't pick a game. I can't get into anything right now. And that's where Fortnite Battle Royale comes in. You can just take 30 minutes of your time, totally reverse that frown, turn it upside down. I think
but the next time that will happen will be next year. I mean, let's be honest. And who knows if Fortnite will be relevant.
But see, that's the thing, is that Fortnite Battle Royale is going to keep Fortnite relevant.
Well, that's if they don't fuck it up. I mean, there's times where people could screw over their game, and
no, that's true. That's true. Okay, yep.
But Chinese ads all over the place.
That's true. That's true. I mean, how are they going to be able to sustain this being free to play without ads? Who knows? I mean, if there's an ad while you're waiting for the match to set up, I really don't care. But if you're running around and the ring or whatever shrinks down, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, everyone, let's stop and enjoy an ad. Like, that's gonna be corny. I'm not gonna be into that. Luca, any thoughts on this? Have you played this game or played PUBG?
Nah, fam. I'm not interested in that.
Really? Wow.
No, I don't care about Fortnite, and I don't care about PUBG, whatever. I don't care about those games. Wow. So we'll see how. I know a lot of people are really hyped for the game, and PUBG is doing phenomenally, honestly. But it's kind of like it's doing really well on the PC, and we'll see how that translates to consoles. So I'm kind of skeptical about the game. I don't think it's going to be the end all be all, like second coming of Christ that a lot of people are thinking. I'm kind of like, we'll see.
Yeah, I've said in the past that I think it's one of the best third-party gets for Microsoft just because of how popular it is. But then, like, the more I think of it and the longer we're waiting for it, I'm kind of like, is it going to maintain its relevancy long enough in order to be that almost like saving grace for Xbox to have as an exclusive? And are people still going to care about it? And is it going to translate to the console well enough to grab everyone's interest? I mean, Fortnite... We see this 10 million Battle Royale players in 2 weeks of it being out. Like, that's a huge get. But it is a free-to-play game, and it's on a bunch of different platforms. Like, who knows? We don't even know whether or not that means, like, 10 million or it's even, like, a third for all the platforms. It could be 7 million on PC, And games like this kind of do lend themselves better to the PC crowd. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about that. So... It's a good point. And Clown's over there shaking his head. He's like, we're waiting too long for this. We're waiting too long for PUBG.
I agree. Like, at first, PUBG was great. It was a great get from Microsoft, like you said. And, it was doing well on the PC, and everybody was excited. Everybody said, lock it down. Microsoft just took forever on PUBG. They didn't lock it down right away, and then it's like a small launch exclusive. Now they're trying to extend it. But by the time it comes out, who is really going to care? I mean, seriously, you're absolutely correct. It's going to take so long to come out. We're going to have Battlefront 2. We're going to have Call of Duty. We're going to have Assassin's Creed Origins. People are going to get in Shadow of War. I mean, there's so many other games. And if you're a Call of Duty player or a first-person shooter, are you really going to take time away from Call of Duty and go on PUBG all of us? No. It's not going to happen.
That's the thing, and if you do, you're only going to do it for like 30-minute shots. Like, that's the thing about Battle Royale games, is that because the matches are so quick, like, it's easier to get in and get out of PUBG in like 30 minutes and feel like you've played a lot of it. Whereas, like, in Call of Duty or especially Battlefield or Battlefront, like 30 minutes is nothing. You know what I mean? Even like Destiny, right? You get in, you play 30 minutes of Destiny, even if you play PvP, even if you're playing Crucible, you get into that, and 30 minutes goes by, it's in a blink. Whereas in PUBG or like Fortnite Battle Royale, you can be playing these games for 30 minutes and be like, wow, I just played like 6 matches. Like, I'm done. So that's the thing. That makes it popular, but it also is a downfall. So I don't know. Like, it's not, I don't think it has like the mind share that, especially for console players, as it could, or people think it will, but who knows? I think it's a good game. I think if people are listening to this and you haven't tried the Fortnite Battle Royale, I mean, it is free. I think you should give it a try. It's a good like entry point to Battle Royale games. Yeah. So other than that, I don't really have many more topics. I know, Clowns, you finally got an SNES Classic.
I did. Yes, I did.
And have you been playing it, or?
You know what? I've just been staring at the box for the last day and a half.
Oh my god, you didn't even open it yet?
I haven't opened it, no.
Man.
Yeah, but my GameStop kind of annoyed me. So I go to GameStop when the press release was out that they were getting them in, and my local GameStop was like, the guy was like, "Oh, I haven't checked the inventory yet." I was like, "What? What do you mean?" "Oh yeah, I don't think there was a Nintendo box back there. I got inventory in yesterday, but I don't think it's there." I was like, "It's supposed to be here by Thursday." He's like, "Well, you can come back after UPS comes. We might have something then." I'm like, "But you didn't even open the inventory in the back." It's like, "No, I didn't feel like doing it because we were too busy." I had to go to like another GameStop 5 minutes away, and they had like a couple in, so I got lucky.
Nice. Well, now that you finally got one, we got to get your impressions on it on a future show for sure. Luca, are you interested at all in SNES Classic, or do you have one, or is that not
absolutely not, sir?
Nice.
Absolutely not. Okay, listen. This whole nostalgia thing. Listen, like, I'm not super old, so I don't care about this at all. I have new games to play. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
See, I am older, and I do remember those days, and I still don't care enough to buy one. Like, I think it's cool, like, having the box. I think, like, the feel of the controller, the look of the box, I think that stuff's cool, like, to have it. But I'm not going to sit there and, like, play through the story of every single game that's on there and be like, reliving those SNES days. If I wanted to do that, I'll do that on my friggin', like, Galaxy, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just ROM that shit. But
I mean, like, honestly,
Nice.
people are gonna buy this system, play it for like maybe a day for the novelty, and then like never touch it again.
Right.
And I'm just like, okay,
preach.
cool. It's just gonna be sitting there, but whatever.
Preach. And that's like with the NES Classic, I really want to know if people are still playing that thing. Like, if you're listening to this podcast and you have one of those and you're still playing that, I need to know if you are. I doubt you are.
I don't think they are. No.
No.
The only people that are probably still playing it are people that just love hacking stuff in the scene and just adding stuff to it that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's true.
I mean, I want to do stuff to my Mini, but my wife said it's not a good idea. She doesn't like it when I do that. But yeah, one thing I do want to bring up over on the podcast, sorry to change the subject, is that I had an experience today at GameStop, and I talked to Tim Dog, and he said I should report it, and I think it could happen to other people, not just me. So I go to trade in my old Xbox One OG 2013 edition. The guy at GameStop turns it vertically with the disk drive all the way at the bottom and the eject button facing downward. And he's like, "Oh, it's not reading discs." And I said to him, I said, "You're not supposed to lay it that way. You're supposed to lay it flat." And he's like, No. If it doesn't read disc vertically, I have to charge you your refurb fee of $55 off your trading credit." And I said, "Well, it's not supposed to be vertically. You're supposed to lay it flat." And he argued with me a little bit. He was nice, but he argued with me. He said, "No, I can't take it. It's defective." He's like, "I charge people all the time for this defective kind of stuff." I was like, "It's not defective." So I spoke to Tim Dog, and I got some things from Microsoft that says that the old Xbox One 2013 edition, the big fat black one, is supposed to, lay flat. You're not supposed to stand it vertically because it has a disk slotted drive, like a forget the name of it now, but it's like a disk-based slotted drive instead of just like a small slot drive like the Slim has. So it can't read vertically. It's not supposed to read vertically, and any of them that read vertically was an accident or luck. And the guy at GameStop just didn't want to hear it, didn't want to see the documents, didn't want to see anything. Had to take it to a different GameStop, but I reported it. So you guys may run into similar issues if you trade in.
Yeah, you know what?
Hashtag GameStop sucks.
That's
Hashtag
right.
fuck them.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. Yeah, I was in there like 2 days ago or so. I can't remember. It was earlier this week, and I was in there, and they said they had something online. They didn't, and I was like, "Listen, like, you said you were gonna have this in your store," and they were like, "Oh, did you look online?" I said, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, that's not accurate. Like, every time you want to find out inventory, like, call us." But then I'm like, "Well, whenever I call you, you're like, don't call us about inventory. So, which one is it? Do you want me to call you for inventory, or do you want me to look online?" It's just fucking bullshit. But I'm looking at my Xbox right now, Clowns. And who the hell would put that thing up on its side?
Yeah, the guy at GameStop did, and he was a manager, and he said to me, he says, "Oh, you see my counter small? I can't lay it flat." I said, "Well, how are you going to check it?" And he's like, "No, we stand it vertically." I said, "No, you don't stand this one vertically. It doesn't even have a vertical stand. You're not supposed to stand it vertically. It's heavy, and you got the drive all the way at the bottom." And like Tim Dog messaged me, he says, that could damage the drive. Right. And he's right. I mean, all the technical service documents from Microsoft shows how the old Xbox One is supposed to be laid out. Absolutely. And this guy just didn't follow any protocol. So call GameStop corporate like Tim suggested, and they're going to have a district manager call me. I don't know if it's going to do anything or not, but the point is the guy should have some training in that aspect, because I wonder how many people did he charge defective units to? Like, how many units came in? He's like, oh, refurb.
Wait, they're going to be like, tell us who this guy is so we can give him another promotion for scamming people out of $55.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah, right? Yeah, this district manager's going to be like, now, who is this that did this to you? Oh, we'll take care of it for sure. And they're going to be like, oh, you brought like thousands of dollars in for this bullshit. Congratulations. Like,
that's why we had an extra $3,000 last month. Keep it up. Good work. No, but like, my concern is that people that want to upgrade to, the X or Project Scorpio edition, they were wanting to trade this in. They're going to be, undermined by this and not want to do it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And this is why, like, when you trade your system in, like, it's crazy because you think, like, these people these people are knowledgeable. They know how to do this thing. Like, you're trading into a game store. Okay. They know what you're doing. Like, when I trade stuff into GameStop, or when I used to just, like, put the box on top of the counter and let them do whatever they wanted to it. Because I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a GameStop. Like, they know what they're doing. But then I started trading stuff into Best Buy, and I was like, whoa. I was like, this, like, 65-year-old dude who probably has no idea what this is that's trading in my console. No disrespect whatsoever. There are older gamers, by the way. But, like, this guy probably has no idea what he's doing. And I need to, like, either walk him through it or, like, be very keen on watch what he's doing very closely. And it wasn't until I started trading into stores like Best Buy that I started doing that. So, like, more of the story of Clown's story and of that, like, little tirade that I just went on is that, like, don't just trust people with your shit. Because people don't care. They
really don't. Like, GameStop employees are making $8.25 an hour. They don't really care. They don't care. They don't care. And they're getting pressured from their managers and the higher ups to, like, do shady stuff. So just be careful, guys. I don't trust GameStop. I really like Best Buy, though. Shout out to the lady at Best Buy who was a real G. Like, I went to Best Buy to get an Elite controller. There was, like, a deal where if you trade in, like, a regular Xbox One controller, you can get $50 towards the Elite controller, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, let me go do this. And then, like, there was a huge issue where they couldn't actually, like, scan my controller in. But at the end, they gave me the $50 off. And then the lady said I could just keep the controller I was going to trade in. Wow. I was like, wow. Yes, thank you. So, GameStop, I don't mess with them, but Best Buy's where it's at.
See, it's like, that was probably a Best Buy issue that they couldn't scan the serial number, and, like, GameStop would have totally just been like, oh, sorry, like, for some reason we can't scan your serial number, like, can't get the deal, bro. It's not going to be ready until, like, the day after the deal's over. Sorry.
We can't take it.
We can't take it.
Serial is defective.
It's defective. Yeah, the serial number's defective, bro. And Best Buy, like, recognized that it was probably their problem, but they can't resell it without that serial being scanned. So, like, what were they gonna do? That's kind of cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah, and they were like, well, maybe it's not at this store. I was like, you have a sign right there that says you're doing this trade-in at this store, and they're like, oh. So, nice. Like, make sure you look around and you just know what you're doing, guys, when you go on the trade-in stuff. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, though, Clowns. Like, I'm looking at my OG Xbox right now, and I would never even try to stand this thing on its side. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it just doesn't look right.
The disc was making so much noise, too. It's going, and he's sitting there, he's like, it's defective. And he takes the disc out, he starts cleaning it, sticks it back in, it's going, I'm like, no, turn it over. What are you doing? And he's a manager there too. That was the biggest disappointment. He's like one of those traveling managers that does like 3 or 4 stores.
He's probably like pulled that. He's probably pulled that fast one on so many people, and people just accepted it. You know, like people don't stick up for themselves enough in stores, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wasn't really gonna. I wasn't gonna argue too much because like I didn't think it was worth that much anyway. But when I found out that the OG Xbox One was still worth $95, I was like, no, I'm not taking a hit on that shit.
Yeah, so it was worth $95. He wanted to charge you a $55 refurb fee, so you're essentially only getting $40. Like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yep.
Ridiculous. All right. Other than that, I think we're done.
Oh, I got one thing.
Assassin, please.
I know I shared the article with you guys. Clowns thinks it's fake. I should have brought this up when we were talking about Shadow of War. But there is an article, I think it's going around, I've seen it a few times on my Twitter feed, saying the guy stopped playing it because it showed orcs and slavery.
Oh my god! Like, really?
Yep.
See, Luca, I told him, I think this is clickbait. I told him I think they were just looking for an article to write, came up with some bullshit, threw it out there for clickbait. And Assassin's like, no, I think he's serious.
Well, yeah,
Dude, it's kind of like that one guy who was like, man, I'm having a good time with Cuphead, but it just reminded me that the 30s cartoons were racist. I was like, if you don't cut it the fuck out, y'all need... Bruh.
Yeah, really. Wow.
What? Oh my
Assassin,
God.
you know,
It's
Assassin's
funny.
so impressionable, though. Like, he believes everything that people
Well,
put out
it
there.
was just so
clickbait.
funny. It's like, I saw this orc, I let him live, and then he tracked me down while I was in a bush. He had, like, scars on him. Then he ran away, and I tracked him down. And I ended up killing him. I felt so bad that I turned off the game for good. I'm
Yeah,
like,
who
I'm like,
who feels
"Excuse me?"
bad for an AI character that's fictional?
Right.
I'm
That's
sorry.
Fucking
ridiculous.
suspect, man. That's really funny, though. I'd be like, sir, if you don't cut it out, perhaps you shouldn't be playing video games, sir.
Yeah,
Sir.
exactly.
It's just, man, people will find something to complain about anything, huh? Oh my God.
Yeah.
They really will. It's like, I mean, I know that the internet's really desensitized with a lot of stuff, but at the same time, there's like a lot of people who are like, who are just completely on the opposite spectrum, who are just like this game reminds me of racist cards. I was like, shut up, stop it, enough, like, cut it out. Listen,
Yeah.
stop. Y'all looking too deeply and into these games and like finding stuff that's not even there, like just making up reasons not to play the game or to cause controversy and like this game's actually racist because of this. I'm like, stop it.
Right.
You know, Drop Dead Artemis brings up a good point. It's like that Vice editor that wrote that story about sticking a Joy-Con up his ass. Remember that?
I do remember that. that.
That was all for clickbait, man. Like, this is what they do because they had nothing else to write about.
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
if they
I'm in
just
the
talk
wrong
about...
fucking business.
Well, start doing it, Assassin. You want to start writing clickbait articles, bro?
Yeah, I rammed an Xbox controller up my ass and...
Okay, now
No.
that's a little too personal. We don't need to know about that. Like,
No, you say clickbait, and then it'd be like, I hit an Xbox One controller, and I just played Shadow of War. Just be like that. That's the clickbait. There you go. Done.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, no, that story about the Joy-Con, dude, when that came out,
ridiculous.
Man,
That was so ridiculous.
yeah.
And I hate to say it brought Nintendo so much publicity. Nintendo probably liked it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just like when PETA complained about 1-2 Switch about how they don't show how brutal milking cows is. Remember we talked about that in the podcast?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how can they have a game and trivialize the milking of cows in the way that they do? Because it's such a brutal process and so painful and all this bullshit. Like, come on.
Did Luca even hear that?
Yeah, I heard about that. That guy. Honestly, I didn't pay it any mind because I was like, obviously, this guy's a fuckface. So let's just ignore it. You know, just like
Yep.
obviously, obviously there's like, and he, you know, I went on his Twitter a couple times. He was like, oh man, this like, yeah, keep hating because this is like paying my bills and making jokes about that and stuff. And I was like, bro, like, I don't actually believe he stuck a controller up his ass, but like, I don't know, maybe he did. You know, you never know these days. People are crazy. So
I wonder if Vice paid his medical bill if he did.
And if he did, he probably left like the
Workers'
wrist strap.
comp.
He probably left the wrist strap on it if he did, so he could easily like just yank it right back out. You know what I mean? Like if you put that up there without the wrist strap on, like shame on you, bro. Because like
Wow.
you're gonna need to get that medically checked out to get that thing out, right? I mean,
It's just, I don't know, man. Like, gaming journalism is not real anymore. To
dead.
me. Yeah,
It's
I don't pay attention to it. The only thing I do is listen to podcasts, and I listen to like Dealer and RDX and Luca and everybody else. But
Yes. Shout out
What-
to those guys.
when it comes to, you know, these journalists, they're just clickbait fakes.
yeah, it's terrible. It really is. And Assassin, you need to relink me to that article you referenced because.
Just look in the DMs here. I'll post it again.
Okay, good. Glad. All right, well, I think this is a perfect time to end it. And since you just mentioned RDX, I want to obviously thank Luca for coming on the show tonight and hopefully get her on again very soon because she was a superstar. And Luca, I want you to, you know, tell us where everyone can find you on the internet, especially your podcast that you're on, RDX and Speak.
All right. Yes. Thank you. I just want to say thanks so much for having me on. I had a blast. Like, this was a really great time, guys. I had a lot of fun, and it was fun hanging out with everyone in the chat as well. So you can find me on Twitter at the Ash and Luca. You can also find me on Dealer Gaming's channel. We have an Xbox-centric podcast. It's called RDX. And then you can also find me on XBlue Rendezvous's channel. We have a podcast called Speak. It is about everything but gaming. So come check us out as well. We've had a lot of really awesome people from the community on, like Rand and Mooch, Crappy. So, you know, I'm trying to get Mike up on here. Clowns, Assassin. I'm looking at you guys. Okay?
Absolutely.
So, you know, just thanks. And I'm down to be on anytime. Just let me know.
Absolutely, will do. And Speak Podcast, I listened to Speak Podcast and I was like, listen, we're going to listen to some gamers talk about some real life shit. And honestly, like, it is very, very good. It is very good. Like, it's like, if you listen to just game podcasts and you need something else to listen to, like, you can't just always listen to the same old shit over and over. Like, definitely check out Speak Podcast. And there is a link down in the description below. And I think Daz, one of my moderators, posted it in the YouTube chat. But yeah, it really is about anything but gaming. I mean, yeah, you guys kind of like relate it to gaming a few times here and there, but it's really like 99% not gaming. And it really is an excellent podcast. Like, you guys can talk yourselves very professionally and talk about some real world, real life shit that probably a lot of us are going through. So, yeah,
thank you for that. You know, we put a lot of work into it, and it's good, you know, hearing the other side of people, because we all have these personas on the internet, especially on Twitter, where we just, like, you know, we put on a face and we act a certain way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, when you come on Speak, it's like you can just talk about your actual real life issues, and you don't have to put up a front and act like you're tough. You know, you can just be yourself and let things out. And I think it's really good for that.
Absolutely. It absolutely is. I would very highly recommend it. And like I said, in the description below for a link to that, and also to RDX Podcast, which is fantastic as well. Dealer Gaming is a superstar. I love Fonz as well. Everybody on there is very good, very knowledgeable, can speak very well. So definitely a gaming podcast you should check out, other than ours, of course. And yeah, other than that, that's it. Find us 4GwQPodcast.com. We're posting more stuff lately, a lot more articles and reviews and stuff. Next article/review I think I'm going to write is about Golf Story. If you guys have a Nintendo Switch, you need to check out Golf Story, by the way. Maybe I'll do like a video review of that as well, because that game is excellent. Especially if you like Pokemon games from back in the, you know, Game Boy 3DS, you know, Game Boy Advance days. It's very much like the Pokemon games, but just golfing. I know that sounds weird, but definitely check it out. At least watch some videos. And yeah, follow us on all the things. Just type in 4 Guys with Quarters. You'll find us pretty much everywhere except on Twitter, where we're 4GwQPodcast. So other than that, I think we're out of here. Peace out. Later.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.